Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. We are very excited to share our insights in today's session, which is about realistic simulations. And we are going to talk about some experience conducting managed DDoS testing in partnership with RedWolf Security. And we are very sure that these insights will help you to build more resilient networks and constantly improve your defense mechanisms. I am Neha Patel, Vice President at NuSummit Cybersecurity. I head the client success group at Security Verification Services Practice. And I have with me James Mal from RedWolf Security and our DDoS threat simulation expert, Mr. Rahul Patil. So over to you guys for a quick introduction.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm James Mull, and I'm the Director of Global Business Development here at RedWolf Security. I've been here 6 years now, and in the last 6 years, we've helped several hundred companies improve their resiliency by offering simulation for DDoS testing. So I'm looking forward to our event with Ajas here. Thanks, Neha, for having us. Over to you, Rahul.
Hey, hi. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Neha, for having me on board. I hope all of you are doing well. Hello, everyone. Rahul this side. I'm part of Ajas Cybersecurity, and I work at Ajas Cybersecurity as senior consultant as part of SVS practice.
Thank you. So let's look at the agenda very quickly. So before we go into the insights, we would walk you through the current DDoS threat landscape, which are the latest attack vectors in the global news. We will cover the broad level classification of DDoS attacks. We'll also look at some of the common mitigation techniques and definitely the most interesting topic, that what have been the key learnings from conducting these managed DDoS testing, utilizing obviously RedWolf platform and the globally distributed infrastructure of RedWolf. We also, we have created a strategy which you can adopt for ensuring effective mitigation. And our partner James will walk us through the continuous control validation, the importance of it. And lastly, we'll have Rahul sharing us the live demonstration of some of the multi-vector attacks. DDoS attacks have been on a rise. Just in this year, we have seen more than 16% increase from the last H2 of 2022. Because of the simplicity of implementing these attacks, it is most favorable attack for an adversary in order to kind of, have motive of ransomware. And also we have seen that in this year itself, in 2023, has observed some of the largest attacks, which you can see in Jan 2023, only a UDP flood attack vector was utilized to kind of ramp up the traffic and exhaust the throughput to 658 Mbps. This was one of the organizations in Russia which got impacted. There was another largest attack witnessed in March 2023, pumping the bandwidth of 991 Gbps, and it used some of the multi-vector attacks to kind of saturate the target and bring down the services. So looking at the attack distribution type, as you can see, web application attacks are on the rise. It's no more about just sending volumetric traffic and kind of saturating the bandwidth of the intended target. Attackers are constantly evolving. They are utilizing the advancements in the technology landscapes to craft some of the novel attacks. As you can see this year, more than 90% of the attacks have been due to web application vulnerabilities like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, local file inclusion. While the adversaries are targeting multiple technology sectors, multiple industry verticals, especially the BFSI segments, however, in 2022, technology sector has been the most attacked one. And all the organizations can expect more of the application layer attacks and multi-vector attacks. As you can see from the statistics itself, the application layer attacks are up by 165%, which is a pretty big number. Talking about the recent attacks in news, I would request James to come in here and talk more about HTTP2 rapid reset and other DDoS attacks.
Thanks, Neha. And yeah, and I appreciate the opportunity to address this particular vector that was disclosed by the authorities in October of this year. This is a rapid reset 0D vulnerability, and in October we came to be aware of it, and by November the team at RedWolf had incorporated this simulation into our portal. So our RedWolf customers were able to immediately test this newest vector since we had put it into our library of test vectors. So that's really the big news here, is the ability for RedWolf to actually take a vector from the wild and put it into our portal and sanitize it and make it available to our customer for immediate testing, reducing the amount of time that customers are exposed to this vulnerability. Back to you, Neha.
Thank you, James. So let us look at the types of DDoS attacks. So if we broadly classify them, they will be mainly into volumetric, protocol, and application layer category. So volumetric, as the name suggests, is about sending large volumes of traffic towards the intended target with the aim of saturating the bandwidth or the resources of the said target. However, in upcoming slides, we will see that nowadays it's not just about sending large volumes of traffic. These attacks are measured obviously in bits per second, and we have seen attacks going up to Gbps and Tbps. Some of the common attacks are the UDP floods, ICMP floods, etc. Now, talking about the protocol layer attacks, these target the intermediate communication equipment and devices like WAF, firewall, load balancers, etc. To execute these attacks, the adversary doesn't need larger bandwidth. This can be done at a lower traffic, lower bandwidth, because it is more about sending concurrently multiple packets. So your connection layer attacks also fall into this category. Some of the common attacks in this layer is the SYN flood, fragmented packet attacks, etc. And talking about the application layer attacks, which have been in the news recently and has been rising steadily year on year, are the application layer attacks. These are the stealthier of the three categories, because the application layer attacks, to mitigate them, you need to know the traffic pattern, you need to understand how your actual web traffic behaves, and you should be able to distinguish between the legitimate traffic and the attack traffic. So as the name suggests, this type of attack will exploit the application layer vulnerabilities, and it will try to overload some of the specific functions of applications. These are generally measured in requests per second, and just like the protocol layer attacks, these do not require large volume or even moderate level of volume of traffic, because this will be an exact replica of your application, how your application traffic is. Some of the common examples are the low and slow attacks, get post method attacks in this category. Let us look at some of the common mitigation techniques. Most of you would have already deployed some of these. So let's talk first about the one that is from the ISP service provider or your cloud hosting provider. So this type of mitigation technique, it is most effective when we are talking about volumetric attacks, because the way these techniques, this type of mitigation solution works is that it will try to scrub, it will try to divert the attack traffic, the excess traffic that is coming onto your network, and it will send it to the scrubbing data centers or scrubbing centers of the particular ISPs. In this case, obviously, the cloud hosting provider will have a larger capacity scrubbing center. And as I mentioned, these are very effective when it comes to blocking or diverting or mitigating the volumetric layer attacks. However, these are ineffective when it comes to application layer attacks or connection or some of the connection layer attacks. Because as I mentioned earlier, application layer attacks, your ISP wouldn't have the access to analyze your actual web traffic. So without that analysis, without the continuous monitoring, it is very difficult to detect and mitigate application layer attacks. So another limitation for for this type of mitigation technology or technique is that these come in different flavors. So if it is an on-demand one, there will be a manual intervention required, and hence the response time will be typically larger. Let's look at the second type, which is the on-premise DDoS mitigation appliance. These are useful when there are application layer attacks. These appliances being installed on your on-premise data centers, they will be continuously monitoring your application traffic for different applications, different settings. And based on that analysis, when there is an actual attack traffic, these systems are very effective and their response time is also quite immediate to detect and mitigate application layer attacks. However, since these are installed on your on-prem data center, when it comes to the volumetric attacks, the large volume being sent by the adversary, there is a limitation because these solutions will not have the scrubbing capacity or the diversion capabilities to divert such an excess traffic. So that brings to our third category, which is the hybrid mitigation solution, which is a mix of both or the best of both the worlds. So here you can address different types of DDoS attacks. And like any mitigation solution, this definitely has to be tested or fine-tune the configuration settings to be able to effectively mitigate when there are real-world DDoS attacks. So, guys, just one quick question. Which of these techniques do you think is a better option when it comes to safeguarding your services, your network against multi-layer or multi-vector attacks? I think I've made it quite obvious that we can't rely on any one type of mitigation technique because there are certain benefits as well as certain drawbacks. So we need to have hybrid solutions. There are many DDoS mitigation providers which are also providing the hybrid solutions with a combination of on-prem or a cloud-based solution. This brings us to the boiling question that if we have hybrid mitigation solution, if we have multi-layer defenses in place, then am I safe? Is my organization safe from these attacks? Will my mitigation kicking at the required time? Will it start mitigating appropriately? So the answer is no. Uh, and this we have observed from conducting multiple managed DDoS threat simulation exercises in association with RedWolf. So let us look at some of these reasons that why DDoS attacks, even in the simulation scenarios, are successful when we have mitigation or multi-layer defenses in place. Here, I would like to talk about one of the, test case or a use case where we were doing mitigation, we were doing a DDoS threat simulation exercise for one of the clients, and they had ISP level mitigation, which was aimed at protecting them from volumetric attacks. However, that solution was configured. The lower level setting was configured at 2 Gbps. So when we did the simulation, when we did try different volumetric attacks, as per our methodology and process, we go with a very slow ramp up. So when we were ramping up the bandwidth, when we were sending traffic with a slow ramp up, we observed that even at low levels, the services were impacted, the circuit was down, the link was down, and the legitimate users were not able to access the service. So, like I mentioned earlier, it's not about high volumetric attacks. Even at low sustained levels, this can cause equal impact. And if your lower limits or other defense parameters are not set properly, then it will also kind of cause the legitimate users, deprive them of the service access. Second reason that we have seen is when customers are relying on any one type of solution, obviously it is not equipped to equally mitigate different types of evolving DDoS attacks. So if you have only a solution which is meant for protecting against volumetric attacks, then definitely you cannot guarantee that tomorrow an adversary is not going to try any advanced layer attack or a sophisticated attack against your organization. So it is very important to have hybrid mitigation in place. And this is one of the reasons why we have seen some of these attacks being successful. Our engineers at Aegis, they have analyzed multiple, reports and multiple findings as a result of these simulation exercises. And what we have observed from our experience is that 80% of DDoS-related configuration settings will be often misconfigured. So this is also one of the very important reasons why we see that despite of having different types of mitigation in place, even hybrid one in place, the attacks are still impacting the organization. This brings me to the next important point of SLAs. So when you have mitigation solutions subscribed from a third party vendor, there will be definitely SLAs, kind of committed by the respective mitigation provider. However, we have seen that organizations are focusing on the service uptime as the main SLA parameter when trying to even evaluate a particular service provider or trying to engage with a particular service provider. However, there are different parameters like mean time to detect, mean time to respond, which are often exploited by the adversaries. So if my MTD, mean time to detect, is more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes, etc., me as an advisor, I can try and attack. I can play it for 5 minutes. I can try bring down the service, and then I can pause for some time. I'll try to pause for some time, and then I'll change my attack vector. I'll try to initiate another attack. So since I'm doing it in less than 10 minutes, the detection is not happening in the first place. So I'm able to send prolonged, DDoS attacks, different types of attacks, and keep the services down. So while our simulation exercises, we can evaluate these parameters as well. And talking about the next reason, this doesn't happen that often nowadays, but there are organizations who used to depend on traditional network security solutions like WAF, firewall, IDS, IPS to protect against the DDoS attacks. However, these equipments are not designed against such emerging and evolving threats. And talking about the last reason, that is relying on one type of mitigation. So we already established the fact that we need to have multi-layer defense, we need to have hybrid mitigation solutions in place. So what are our key observations, or if I have to summarize all these things into key learnings from these simulation exercises? So for the first point, I would again like to talk about a case study where we were engaged with one of the clients where they had multi-layer defenses and hybrid mitigation solution. So when we first got that requirement and when we, as a part of our process, when we requested for the network diagram, the network topology from the client, understanding what type of different, how the circuit is designed firstly, and what are the different types of mitigations that are in place. So when we analyzed that their whole network, we realized that they have multi-layer defenses, IDS, IPS, firewall, everything. They also have hybrid mitigations. They have an on-prem device which was installed recently, that point in time. And they had, for some of their cloud services, they had cloud mitigation also. They had CDN, they had some protection on the ISP level as well. So they had the best of all the worlds. However, when we started engaging into this exercise and when we started analyzing, at first we thought that this is going to be a complex one, and we are not sure whether, I mean, we were confident that some of these attacks will not be successful. So we designed the attack vectors in a way keeping into consideration the different targets that the client has shared with us, which is the VPN server, the firewall or the router, the application, the mobile application, etc. So based on that, we designed different attack vectors from RedWolf's 100 plus attack list in the library. And to our surprise as well, when we conducted the simulation, we saw that more than 60 or 70% of attacks were successful. So what does that imply? It does imply that definitely we need to have all these mitigations in place and hybrid solutions in place, but just merely investing in it is not going to assure us a guaranteed and effective mitigation. We need to test it, and without that testing, without fine tuning of those settings, those investments are really futile. The second learning, as we saw earlier, volumetric attacks, when implemented at low levels, can cause very sustained and prolonged impact. Only evaluating the uptime is not going to suffice. We need to take into consideration a lot of other parameters that come with those commitments. Talking about this fourth learning. So as I mentioned earlier, this mitigation solution comes in different flavors. Like there is auto on, which is always on, and then there is on-demand one. So for the on-demand one, the clients or the organization's network monitoring team, infrastructure team, security team has to continuously monitor. They have to detect the attack, and they have to inform, they have to report that to the mitigation provider so that they can start mitigating. However, when we do the simulations, you get to kind of also evaluate this entire sequence, this monitoring, detection, and your response capabilities of your teams, and how the orchestration is happening between different entities or stakeholders. What should be my strategy? So I have invested in multi-layer defenses. I've invested in mitigation techniques. I have trained my team, to monitor, to detect, detect any anomaly in the traffic and report it to the, third-party provider. So I have done all these things. So, what is the strategy that an organization can follow? So we have, for your ease, we have created a 4-step process, which is test, assess, treat, and repeat. So test, obviously, after having those mitigations in place, you need to test them for their efficacy, whether they are working as intended or not. And as a result of this testing, whatever analysis, whatever gaps you identify, that needs to be analyzed. Those SLAs that are committed needs to be validated, measured. And after all this, obviously, you need to treat, you need to make those configuration changes, you need to fine tune the settings and do that proactively, not wait for a real attack to happen and then start identifying which parameter you need to fine tune, which setting you need to change. So proactive approach is very important here. And last but not the least, repeat. So whatever implementation you have done, whatever fine tuning you have done, you need to again evaluate that. So revalidation is very important, and not just for the perspective of what fixes you have done, but also there are constantly evolving threats. As a infrastructure, your applications, your infrastructure are also going through different changes over a period of time. So to keep up with those technology advancements and the emerging threats, it is very important to do this on a repetitive basis. So that brings us to a very important point on continuous control validation. And I would request James to come in and explain us the importance of this. James, over to you.
Thank you, Neha, for setting the stage for continuous controls testing and validation. Now, just to set the stage on the past history of testing, we've been around IT for some time now, and in the old days, we ran penetration tests or a one-time assessment, a snapshot of where things are at in the infrastructure. So in the past, there was a singular test done, an assessment, if you will, and as Neha pointed out, there was a remediation and a retest was proposed. Now, what we've found is most of our customers are now opting for that cyclical approach of continuous controls validation and repeating the cycle, as necessary. So what we offer now with RedWolf, on the slide you see on the top left here, we propose an annual platform subscription, which is the command and control and the automation platform that we provide to our customers. So now, instead of just doing a one-time assessment, you're continually testing and validating the resiliency of your infrastructure Instead of just doing it once, you are now doing it, on a cyclical basis, maybe once a week, twice a week, once a month, and you can also automate that process. The ability to do self-serve DDoS tests and manage DDoS tests also becomes part and parcel of an annual subscription. Customers can run scenarios like the HTTP request reset vector, or UDP flood, or SYN floods, or all the attack vectors that Neha has mentioned so far. You can run them on a self-serve basis or on a partner-managed basis, where the Ajas team can come in and do various different testing, like load testing, API testing, and so on. So there's opportunities for those, and to calendar them over the year as you implement your programmatic approach to risk reduction. And also the ability to create a lab. A lot of times vendors, customers are looking at multiple vendors for their mitigation. And they want to assess, which ones are more effective in their environment and for their application. And a lot of our use cases are centered around what we call vendor bake-offs, where they are looking at feature sets from multiple vendors to assess their investment in that mitigation. So these are the things that are, part and parcel of our annual subscription. And some of the benefits, of course, are the external attack simulation, as we pointed out earlier. The reset vector is now inside the portal. We can do all these other, different vectors as well. So you can simulate, multiple botnets, if you will, to actually simulate a real world, realistic distribution of a DDoS attack. Down below, you see the operational improvements, and this is a really interesting side effect of doing a test exercise and planning one out that really focuses on operational response teams. So the SOC team, the NOC team, and so on, they are able to witness a DDoS attack in a simulation environment and create a run book, if you will, on what processes to follow when the attack does occur. So the analyst is not the first time he sees a SYN flood. He knows what to do. He can follow a list of steps, and we can create those steps with you for your environment. Also, there's things like application testing, and we've talked about automated testing. There's a lot of use cases for the RedWolf platform beyond the DDoS simulation. So it's a multi-purpose testing tool that can be used in various different areas, like applications, API, VPN testing, and so on. And lastly, one of the key things that we offer on the platform is the ability to automate the testing. Once you create a scenario, for example, a UDP flood to a target, and you would like to repeat that, that scenario is into the library as a file and can be programmatically accessed to launch at a particular time. So that's a very huge benefit that a lot of our customers are now recognizing, in light of the fact that the resources are constrained, and you want to have more accuracy in your testing and avoid any kind of human errors. So that's another huge benefit of the platform in the control testing and validation platform. So go to the next slide, please. So this is an example of a programmatic approach where we look at an annual program for our clients through our partners, and we support this program with meetings, strategy meetings, once every 6 months or quarterly as needed. And if you look at the slide, the top on the left side, you see all the different milestones that we have on the annual subscription program. And on the top is the months that the activity occurs in. So, for example, the annual support program, the strategic meetings, month 1, month 6, month 10, month 12. And then you have the next one down is the cloud monitoring, which is something that you want to implement the whole time for continuous detection as well. You also have the ability to have local agents set up as well to get empirical information on what is coming through your system under test. So all these items on the left are different segments of the program, And if you can see on the managed DDoS test line, you have in month 1, month 2, you do a managed DDoS test. And you also have in month 3 the ability to do a self-serve DDoS test. So you don't have to hire a consultant to do it every time. You can do some of the self-serve testing. Your own teams can do that. So then you have the operational readiness tests as well. And you can schedule that, say, for example, in month 5, where you look at doing a test just for the operational teams and to prepare a run book. And lastly, you have the automated testing, where you can program the system to run those tests automatically, and monitor the results of your testing. Observing the effect of the test is a very important part. I would say it's equally important to record observations as it is send traffic in. And with that, I'm going to stop now and turn it back to Neha and Rahul, and he'll show you how to exactly do all this stuff.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, Neha.
Yeah, so coming to the next section of the webinar. So before we dive into the demo, let me just quickly walk you through the execution methodology that we follow for the managed testing. So first, our engineers, cybersecurity experts will be engaging with your team in order to understand your network topology, in order to register your targets, know your target details like the exact URLs, IP addresses, and so on. Understand the network topology diagram, how these are related with the targets, and what are the different third-party service providers involved in the end-to-end network, in the end-to-end circuit. Post this, obviously, the engineers will do a reconnaissance of the target, and based on that, will provide or will create a detailed test plan. So obviously, when we do a managed testing, and since these activities are the ones requiring a proper scheduled maintenance downtime, we understand that it is very important for customers to ensure that they are getting the most value in that 6 hours or 12 hours of downtime window. So when you have a complex infrastructure built up, or you have multiple defense mechanisms in place, it is very important to select the exact attack which will have which will give you the real value. So if you have multiple layer defenses, and if we are only testing like simple attacks like ICMP or UDP flood, it might not give you that desired result or the analysis that you want to do. So our team of experts will kind of carefully select the attack vectors that are most suitable based on the network topology, and they will create a detailed test plan around it. There is an important document which is a signed authorization letter, because we are doing this as a simulation. It's a legal activity, and it will require a notification to be sent to all of your third-party service providers whose resources you're using, or whose network you're using as a part of your entire infrastructure built up. Then we go to the scenario planning stage, where we do a couple of meetings with the infrastructure team, the network security team of customer. We decide upon the members that are going to be involved during the actual exercise. And both RedWolf and Aegis, we recommend to do this as a white box testing, where we recommend that you invite your third-party service providers, your cloud service providers, from whoever you have taken the DDoS mitigation solution. You can invite them into this, during the real world simulation exercise, and they can all be on the call and observe how the traffic or how the attack pattern is kind of impacting the particular devices or the particular targets in place. We also decide, since as I mentioned, we utilize the RedWolf infrastructure, that is a globally distributed botnet or cloud agents as we call them, across 140 data centers. We also decide and agree with the customer that whether they want to deploy agents in a particular region or it needs to be equally distributed. So after all that, the test plan is loaded into the RedWolf portal by our security experts. And on the day of execution, just before we start the exercise, our team will be deploying the cloud agents, the cloud monitoring agents, as well as the ones which will be generating the attacks. The scenario will be executed, and Rahul will talk more in length about that. So there are different evidences that will be recorded by multiple parties, and post that our engineers will analyze those results, give you a very detailed report with executive summary as well as details of each test performed, and what was the traffic at which the link went down, what was the packet per second at which the service got impacted, and so on and so forth. And after this stage, we obviously expect that you would be doing the configuration fine tuning, and post that you need to revalidate those settings. So during the revalidation phase, all the steps will be repeated, which are done during the initial cycle. As I mentioned, we'll be needing the target details to plan the exercise, your detailed network topology diagram, which should also include the names of all the entities that are involved in it, and if possible, the configuration settings of the mitigation solutions, and a very important document, which is the authorization letter. So with this, I'll now hand it over to our information security expert, our red teaming and DDoS threat simulation expert, Rahul Patil, to give you a quick walkthrough of the portal, as well as demonstrate live how these multi-vector attacks can impact a particular target. So over to you, Rahul.
Thanks, Neha. And first of all, I would like to thank you all for joining today's webinar session. I'll quickly share my screen and just let me know if it is visible to you or not. Okay. Is my screen visible, guys, to you?
Yes, Rahul, it has come up.
Okay, so don't get confused, guys. Don't worry about it. I know it's a bit too much to understand right now, but slowly I'll explain you everything, each and everything on this dashboard. So before further moving with the DDoS simulation itself, I would like to ask you one question. Can anyone explain me what is the difference between actual DDoS attack and DDoS simulation activity? So don't worry, guys. Even if you guys don't answer the question, I'm going to answer it for you. I just see if our audience is attentive or not, or they're providing any responses or not. Let me just quickly go back to the chat box and see if I have received any responses or not. Okay. I see few of the responses. Okay, that's correct. So just to explain you basically, the actual DDoS attacks main objective is to take down organizations, public facing website and the network devices, and cause the disruption for their employees and end users, so they cannot access their resources. On the other hand, the DDoS simulation activity is the activities to perform the actual threat simulation, where we can check the resilience of your web application and network devices, how they perform under pressure, if they are performing as they are intended or not. On the other hand, the DDoS, actual DDoS attack, it is an illegal activity. On the other hand, DDoS simulation activity is authorized and approved activity. The actual DDoS attacks cannot be controlled, but the DDoS simulation activity is a completely controlled activity. We can start and stop the attack at any point of time. So in order to perform the DDoS simulation activity itself, we need to have bots. So in here, we have two kinds of bots. We call them traffic generators and monitors. So monitors are nothing but the virtual machines that have been placed across the globe, and their only job is to monitor your website. So they have PHP scripts running in the background, and we have the ability to place your monitors in different part of the world. If we want to place them in a certain continent, we can place them in certain continent as mentioned on that this portal itself. If suppose we want to place them in a certain country, we can have this option of exact distribution, where we will be able to place them in a certain country, a certain part of country if we want. And if in case we find it too complicated, then we have the option of globally evenly distributed, where we can where the platform itself will decide how to place them. So on the dashboard itself, I'll quickly walk you through the things that will be reflected because of the monitors. So the request latency, request errors, HTTP return codes. Then we have pingmon. If in case we are performing the attack for the network devices, at that point of time, we configure this pingmon as well. You can see the pingmon status over here. Then we have DNS response codes as well. If in case we are performing the attack for any DNS server. On this side, okay, average TCP connect time per URL. So this is the time that our monitors are taking to connect to your website. And this is average SSL or TLS setup time per URL. So I'll go to the extreme right. This is what we call as a heat map. So at present, in our monitoring scenario, we have 4 websites that have been configured to be in the monitoring state. We have 2 test targets from RedWolf Security, one Aegis website and one Wikipedia. So these are our monitors that are mentioned over here. So their only job is to monitor your website. So you can consider them as your employees or end users who are trying to avail your services. So at present, as we can see, we are seeing green dots. That means it is a good thing. So if I just zoom in a bit, you can see this heat map, which is starting from 0 and going till 500. So 0 means not a good thing. It means black dots. That means your site is not reachable and your employees and end users are not able to access your website. We'll be able to see these black dots on these 2 targets later on as we proceed with the attack itself. Then we have 200 series response code that we are able to see right now on the screen itself. Moving on, we have 400 series response codes in amber color, and at the end, we have 500 series response codes in red color. That means server-sided. So that was about monitors. I'll quickly show you about the traffic generators as well. Traffic generators are nothing but the bad actors who are going to generate all the traffic that is required for the DDoS attack. So similarly, for the traffic generators as well, we have privilege to have them in a particular continent, in a certain country, or if we feel that it is too complicated, we can place them in globally evenly distributed, where the platform itself will decide where to place them based on the availability. So for the normal DDoS activity, we provision almost 5 monitors and 200 traffic generators. So that is more than enough to take down any of the website. So our today's agenda is to perform 3 kinds of attacks. So volumetric attack, connection-based attack, and application-based attack. So I'll just give you a quick brief about the monitoring scenario. This is how the monitoring scenario looks. These are our webmons. These are all cloud monitor agents that are mentioned over here. And these are the websites that we are monitoring. And in this way, it is configured. So let me go quickly to the new screen where we will be creating a attack. So let me mention the bandwidth, maximum bandwidth that we will be having today. I'll choose the targets. So these are the test targets for today's attack. So we will be performing the attack on 2 targets today. Let me have my cloud traffic generators as well in place. So these all cloud traffic generator agents are the agents through which we will be performing the attacks. So these are the same agents which are mentioned over here. So the first attack, that is going to be volumetric attack, we have chosen the SynFlood small packets attack to perform this simulation. So let me quickly check if all the settings are proper or not. Synflag, okay, Synflag is switched on. Payload size, let's make it 10. Let's not make complicate things by making custom packet payload. Service, okay. Fragmentation will keep it off for this one. Okay, let me quickly save the settings and attach this. So basically, the SynFlood attack methodology is, guys, so whatever anything that has a TCP stack present. So if it receives a SYN packet, it tends to reply back with SYNAC packet. And in this case, we are not going to complete the 3-way handshake, and we'll be dropping the SYNAC packets that are being received from the server itself. So that was about the SYN-flood methodology. Let me quickly configure the bandwidth that we'll be starting with. So this is going to, we'll start this with 5 Mbps of traffic over here. So let me quickly go to the next attack. That is a TCP slow drip attack, and it is going to be our connection-based attack. So about the connection-based attack. So normally when people think that a DDoS attack is happening, they consider them as a bandwidth consuming attack. But just to give you an example, the amount of bandwidth that will be required to take down the target through SynFlood is, let's say, for example, it is going to be 100 Mbps. And at the same time, if we are going to choose the connection-based attack, it is going to be fraction of bandwidth, let's say 5 Mbps of traffic. It depends on the target to target. But in this case, we will be seeing that within the fraction of few MBs will be able to take down the website. So in TCP slow drip attack, since this is connection-based attack, we'll be completing the TCP three-way handshake. So whenever TCP three-way handshake completes, it consumes your server's resources. There are different sorts of resources on your server. Let's say disk, a memory, a disk IO, memory, CPU, processes, and time as well. So whenever we are trying to establish the connection with the server itself, we are going to have all these resources consumed. And these connection-based attacks works best with the stateful devices. So stateful devices are nothing but the devices that are trying to keep the state of the connection. So these are your load balancers and your firewalls. So let me quickly mention over here. This is the concurrency that we are going to start with. So concurrency is nothing but the amount of connections that will be made by a single agent. So let's say we have 200 agents over here right now. So 200 into 2. So at 2 concurrency, we'll be making 400 connections. So next attack is our HTTP get basic no keep alive attack. So this is the most versatile attack vector where you can make many changes within the attack itself. So let me quickly show you the websites on which we are going to perform the attack. So guys, this is the website on which we are going to perform the attack itself. Let me quickly copy the target. Okay, I'll make it on HTTP now. So after configuring this, we will quickly launch our attack. Let me save this scenario. For this one, we'll set it as 25. We'll save this attack. And I'll explain you on the go what this we can do with this application-based attack vector. So let me quickly check all the settings. Okay, we don't need this one. Authentication, we keep it off. Cipher suits, I don't think so we'll need those. Let's see. That is fine as well. It is off. Okay, we'll not make it much complicated, guys. We are going to keep it simple. So we have multiple options available in here, which we can make changes to on the go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly launch the attack. And before launching the attack, I like to show you guys, these are the slots available on the server itself. So as I start the attack, slowly, these slots will be filled and we'll be able to see the website going down. So I'm going to quickly launch the attack itself. And we'll see on the monitor how it is reflected. So meanwhile, the dashboard reflects the value that we have passed. Let me quickly give you the explanation how the application-based attack vectors can be configured. So let's say for the application-based attack, if suppose you have any rate limiting mechanism in place. So if I reach a certain rate or certain threshold value, your website will throw a captcha page. So usually this happens if we have any mitigation placed through WAP. So in that case, we'll receive a 429 series response codes. And those response code means we have received the capture page. And we can see it on the dashboard as well. Moving further, we can send malformed request, good request, and bad request. So we have the most latest attack vectors as well if we want to experiment with the HTTP2 rapid reset as well. So this is the most recent attack vector, and we can use this as well to take down your website. So this is 0-day kind of thing. Then we can define custom headers over here. Let me quickly show you. So we can define custom headers over here. We can change the method as well from get to post or anything else that we want. We can post the data in different formats as well, URL encoded or application JSON format. Then if you have caching system, we can bypass it by randomizing our queries as well. We can add some cookies as well if you have cookie validation in place. So we can set custom cookies as well. Then we can do the basic authentication. Then we have the ability to randomize our user agents as well. We can randomize X forwarded headers as well. X forwarded headers are most common with the load balancers. And since I can use randomize my user agent over here, your team can refer to, let's say, if I mention a custom user agent over here as or just test, your team can filter the traffic based on this custom user agent that will help them in identifying the attack traffic itself. So I'll make it normal then. Okay, I see that our website is already down. As you can see from here, I'll try to refresh the website. As you can see, as I mentioned earlier, if our website is down, we'll be able to see the black dots. So what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to take the screenshot of the dashboard itself over here, and I'll quickly paste it in the at 10 at sorry 5 Mbps. Sin we had 2 and 25. Okay, 2 concurrency slow rep, then 25 con get basic website went down. I'll quickly paste the screenshot, okay, and I'll mark it as impact severe. So this observation section, we can provide access to your team members to this observation section where your team members can put all their observations, whatever they are observing on their monitoring devices. So they'll be able to put all the observations here and it will be centralized at the end of the activity. So whatever the observations that have been inserted by Auj's team and your team, it will have one consolidated report, which will help us in the mitigation plan, forming the mitigation plan itself. So as you can see, our website is completely down. So the best part about the DDoS simulation activity that we are completely under control. At any point of time, if we want to stop the attack, we just need to click on this button and it will stop the attack. And within few minutes, or let's say within a less than minute, you'll be able to see that the website will come up and we'll be able to see it over here as well. That green dots will be reappearing. So let me quickly take a screenshot of this as well. Paste it over here. Fact severe.
So Rahul, when I saw Auj's name up there, I thought we didn't have the authorization from Auj's
No,
side,
no.
but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I realized that it is just for the monitoring purpose.
Yeah, yeah. So unless and until we have authorization or approval from the client itself, we cannot perform any attack on any random website, let's say. And that authorization letter obviously needs to be reviewed by RedWolf team. And unless and until it is approved from the RedWolf team, then only all the resources will be allocated. It is not like if you have access to the portal, you can just go around and play with the portal, and you'll be able to perform attack on the websites
Yeah.
itself.
So that
So
was just
as I
more like a
mentioned,
note.
yes. So as you can see, there are several things that can be configured over here, which will make your monitoring team confused. And we can have a cat and mouse game, I would say, with your team. So we can confuse them with several things by sending all kinds of data. And if suppose we observe that certain changes are being made in the background, then we'll be able to observe it over here as well. So let me quickly refresh the dashboard. See if our websites have come up. I think it will come up in the meantime, if you guys have any questions, then please let us know. Will be able to answer those questions. Yeah.
Thanks, Rahul. I think that was a very excellent display of a multi-vector attack and the ability to change the parameters on each attack. As you mentioned, the cat and mouse capability that we offer in the RedWolf platform to be able to play simulation and war games kind of approach to simulation and really get a realistic cyber drills between the attack team and the defense team to fine tune the environment for optimal resilience. That's really what Rahul showed today, and I appreciate that. That you put that multi-vector attack together, layer 3, the connection flood, and the layer 7. So we see the scenario that was created can bring down a website fairly efficiently, and that'll help you, optimize your defense stack.
Yes, and this also shows the ability to, conduct multiple attack vectors simultaneously on multiple different targets. So that is also, quite effective when you want to test a lot of targets in your infrastructure. So meanwhile, let's check if we have got any questions. In interest of time, we will also, kind of consolidate all the questions and send you the responses over email so that you can access them at your ease. To you, Rahul.
Mhm. Let me check. Guys, please, either I explained it wrongly or you are not at all responsive. I hope you guys understand what we explained in this 1 hour session. Yeah, and we did not bore you. So please come up with your questions. If you think that you're not able to mention them now, you can reach out to the team directly. You can ask all your questions. They'll be able to help you out and resolve all your queries. Okay, we have one hand raised. Okay.
You can post your question in the chat or in the Q&A as well.
Yeah, thanks, Arafat. Okay. Can you emphasize more, Mr. Chuck Griffith? Will the replay be available as it? Okay. You're talking about the attack itself.
We're getting some really interesting questions now. Please keep
Yes.
them coming. I think we'll consolidate all of them and send the response to everyone with that consolidated list.
These are really interesting questions. This is the one. Was early in the years for my clients and making credit card.
I think more questions coming up on the board,
Yes, yes, I
and
think.
we have ran out of time already. We
Okay.
wanted to make it very comprehensive and exhaustive session, so sorry we couldn't devote much time to the questions right here in the webinar, but we certainly want to answer each of them, and we will reply back to you. We'll send the consolidated list and the answers against that. I hope that will be okay with everyone. And I would like to, James, anything you want to add? Rahul, any last notes?
No, nothing from my side actually. If you guys have any queries that you are not having right now, you can reach out to us at later stage as well. We'll be available for you guys. That would be it from
Yes,
Just
please send in your questions. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, James.
Yeah, just to recap, I mean, I think Rahul, you did a great job with the demo. It's just to display the ability for the RedWolf platform to simulate the multi-vector attacks and the different bandwidth levels, and really test and put your defense stack to the test. And really, that's what we're talking about today: is testing of the defense stack for resiliency. We test, in life, and we test our cars, we test our shower heads, we test everything, and there's not a lot of testing going on with infrastructure. And in the last 6 years I've been here, we've done a lot of testing and really helped a lot of companies improve their resiliency to the threats that are posed out in the cyber community, and DDoS and ransomware and all these malicious actors that are out there. The ability to simulate the cat and mouse and have operational teams get really good benefit from running these exercises, not just once on a one-time assessment, but as my point was earlier about continuous controls validation. Being able to do this continuously reduces the risk window to get attacked. So being able to constantly validate that the configuration settings on a WAF or CDN are set and not changing and causing regressions is very important hallmark of what we provide in terms of service to our customers. And that's all I have for you, Neha. So it's time to
Thanks,
wrap.
James. Thanks for summarizing that. Thank you, Rahul, so much for showcasing the live demonstration and explaining some of the attacks really well. And with the questions that are coming on the board, I can say that we had an attentive audience. So yeah, you can hear back from us very soon. Thank you for joining today's session. Have a good evening and good day ahead.
Okay. Thank you guys. Okay. Bye-bye.
See you, everyone.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.